page 8.1, chapter 8, political ideologies, liberalism, libertarianism, neoliberalism, republicanism, communitarianism. Political ideology may be described as a set of ideals, principles, doctrines, myths, or symbols of a movement by an institution, a class or a large group that explains how society should work and offers some political, social, economic blueprint for a certain order. There are two major dimensions of a political ideology. A. How a society should work, interrogation. It is a goal. B. How to achieve the ideals within interrogation. This is what would constitute methods. Political ideologies are identified by their position as left, within bracket, communist, socialist, etc., bracket closed. Right, within bracket, conservative, fascist, totalitarian, bracket closed. Center, within bracket, neither left nor right, usually liberal, new liberal, and the like, bracket closed. Though such a division is very often controversial, they relate to particular times and circumstances and have a significant impact on societies. As they are circumstantial and time related, they fade away with the changing times. New ideologies keep emerging. 1. Ideology. Coined by Court Descartes de Tracy, within bracket, though its original meaning is traced to Hippolyte Taine, origins of contemporary France, who had described it as rather teaching philosophy through the Socratic method, bracket closed. The term ideology is related to the science of ideas, the collection of ideas, according to Webster's dictionary, within inverted comma, ideology, bracket closed. Repeat, within inverted comma, ideology, inverted comma, close, is, within inverted comma, visionary theorizing, inverted comma, close. Alternatively, it is a, within inverted comma, a systematic body of concepts about human life or culture, inverted comma, close. Malcolm Hamilton, in his article, within inverted comma, the elements of the concept of ideology, inverted comma, close, writes what ideology is, inverted comma, a system of collectively held normative and reputedly factual ideas and beliefs and attitudes advocating and oblique or justifying just a shared belief system that may serve at once to motivate and to justify. Stop. It generally asserts normative values and includes positive beliefs. It offers a way in which to order the world, defining enemies and allies, dangers and opportunities, us and them, inverted comma, close. Ideologies are formal, structured and involve their own particular logic, often appearing in the guise of science or objective knowledge. Ideology is implicated in collective action as criticism, good explanation or promise. It is represented in symbols and beliefs held by a community and is publicly expressed. Ideology is at once philosophy, science, religion and imagination. David W. Minard, in an article within inverted comma, ideology and political behavior, inverted comma, close, describes 6 different ways in which the word ideology has been used. 1. As a collection of certain ideas with certain kinds of content, usually normative. 2. As the form or internal logical structure that ideas have within a set. 3. By the role in which ideas play in human social interaction. 4. By the role the ideas play in the structure of an organization. 5. As meaning whose purpose is persuasion. And 6. As the locus of social interaction possibly. Political Science, Chapter 8, Political Ideologies, Liberalism, Libertarianism, Neoliberalism, Republicanism, Communitarianism. Page 8.2. For Willard A. Mullins says in his article, within inverted comma, on the concept of ideology, inverted comma, close, then an ideology is composed of 4 basic characters. 1. It must have power over cognitions. 2. it must be capable of guiding one's evolutions. 3. It must provide guidance towards action. 4. And as stated above, it must be logically coherent. The concept of ideology has a controversial history. Descartes de Tracy described it simply as the science of ideas. Napoleon Bonaparte took the word within inverted comma ideologus inverted comma close to ridicule his opponents. Marx used it to refer to ideas that serve the interests of the ruling class by concealing the contradictions of class society, thereby promoting false consciousness. Antonio Gramsci, arguing in a rather neutral sense, holds that the ruling class, within bracket, say the capitalists in the capitalist society, upholds the system by what he termed the hegemony within inverted comma, that is dominant hegemony, ideas oblique theories, and therefore insists on establishing within inverted comma proletarian hegemony bracket inverted comma close, that is socialist ideas oblique theories. The new Marxists within bracket Howard Marcuse, one-dimensional man bracket closed, has pointed out the totalitarian tenets is the concept of ideology. The non-Marxists within in bracket Karl Manian, ideology and utopia bracket closed, think of ideology as thought systems that serve to defend a particular social order or portray the idealized presentations of the future, in both cases partial or self-interested view. Karl Popper, Hannah Arendt and the like view ideology as an instrument of social control to ensure compliance and subordination. The Cold War liberals, having experienced fascism, totalitarianism and communism, describe ideology as a within inverted comma closed bracket inverted comma close thought as well as within inverted comma closed inverted comma close system by claiming a monopoly of truth and refuse to tolerate any opposition. The conservatives, such as Michael Oakeshott, take a very small view of rationalism and describe ideology as an abstract within inverted comma system of thought inverted comma close, that is a set of ideas which distort political realities. Seliger has rightly defined ideology as within inverted comma a set of ideas by which men posit, explain and justify the ends and means of organized social action, irrespective of whether such action aims to preserve, amend, uproot or build a given social order. Inverted comma close. For whatever truth ideologies may claim, there is no objective standard of truth with which ideologies may be judged. Ideologies are neither good or bad. I repeat, ideologies are neither good nor bad, neither true or false, neither open nor closed, neither liberating nor oppressive. They can be all these things, and yet they may not be all this. Ideology. In the negative sense, ideology means a form of false consciousness. In the positive sense, it means the expression of a worldview of a social group. Next, it is a collection of ideas, correlating ideas with societies. Next, inspirational, I repeat, inspirational insofar as it guides and inspires. Next, action-oriented insofar as it either helps to conserve things, reform society, or construct it afresh. Ideology quotes, within inverted comma, ideology is just an escape from thought. Galbraith. Next, within inverted comma, the proper man understands equity, the small man profits. Inverted comma close. Confucius. Next, within inverted comma, death of dogma is the birth of reality. Inverted comma close. Kant. Within inverted comma, a fanatic is someone who cannot change his mind, and I repeat, within inverted comma, a fanatic is someone who cannot change his mind and would not change his subject. Churchill. Next, within inverted comma, political ideology can corrupt the mind and science. Inverted comma close. Wilson. Next, within inverted comma, the third world is not a reality but an ideology. Inverted comma close. Arendt. Next, within inverted comma, ideology has very little to do so with consciousness. It is profoundly unconscious. Inverted comma close. Althusser. Next, within inverted comma, ideas are what men and women live by and will occasionally die for. Inverted comma close. Eagleton. Chapter 8. Political ideologies: liberalism, libertarianism, neoliberalism, republicanism, communitarianism. 2. Liberalism, page 8.3. It is a political ideology founded on 1. The natural goodness of humans, and 2. The autonomy of the individual. Within bracket, earlier liberalism and was called individualism, bracket closed, favoring A. individuals' civil and political liberties, B. government through law, C. the consent of the people, D. an economic theory, the maximum individual initiative and the minimum governmental interference in economic affairs. According to Britannica Concise Encyclopedia, liberalism is a, within inverted comma, political and economic doctrine that emphasizes on the rights and freedoms of the individual and on limited powers of the state, inverted comma close. Its basic ideas were given formal expression in the works of Thomas Hobbes and John Locke, both of whom argued that the power of the state have ultimately to be justified by the consent of the governed. In the economic realm, liberals in the 19th century urged the end of state interference in the economic life of society. Following Adam Smith, they argued that economic systems based on free markets are most efficient and generate more prosperity than those that are partly state-controlled. In response to the great inequalities of wealth and other social problems created by the Industrial Revolution in Europe and North America, liberals in the late 19th and early 20th centuries advocated limited state intervention in the market and the creation of state-funded social services such as free public education and health insurance. Broadly speaking, liberalism emphasizes individual rights. It seeks a society characterized by freedom of thought for individuals, limitations on powers within bracket especially of government and religion, and the rule of law, free exchange of ideas, a market economy that supports free private enterprise, and a transparent system of government in which the rights of all citizens are protected. In modern society, liberals favor a liberal democracy with open and fair elections where all citizens have equal rights and equal opportunities. Liberalism has been the result of numerous events which occurred in the West during the 16th and 17th and 18th centuries. These events included the Enlightenment, Glorious Revolution, and the French Revolution. The Enlightenment refused to accept more goals as absolute rights. Glorious Revolution denounced the divine, within bracket, and therefore the absolute, bracket close, right of the kings. And the French Revolution gave the idea of individual liberty and made it so sacred that no one could suppress it. Liberalism fought simultaneously on two fronts. One, against the unlimited and unrestricted powers of the monarchs, and two, against the landed aristocracy. It was thus a war against feudalism and absolute monarchy. As the war was launched by the bourgeoisie, liberalism has been till date the political philosophy of the capitalists. Traces of liberalism go back to the days of John Locke, within bracket 1632 to 1704, and not Thomas Hobbes, within bracket 1588 to 1679, who did begin with the individual but did not end up, and repeat, but did not end up with the individual, His philosophy ended with the concept of a powerful sovereign. Leviathan, Locke, was an individualist within bracket and as such the forerunner of liberalism in bracket close. His work, two treatises on government, established the fundamental liberal idea, economic liberty, meaning the right to have and use property, and intellectual liberty, including freedom of conscience, which he expounded in a letter concerning toleration within bracket 1689 bracket close. However, he did not extend his views on religious freedom to Roman Catholics. Locke developed ideas of natural rights, which he saw as within inverted comma life, liberty and property, and which can be seen as the distant forerunner of the modern conception of human rights. However, to Locke, property was more important than the right to participate in government and public decision making. He did not endorse democracy because he feared that the giving power to the people would erode the sanctity of private property. Chapter 8, Political Ideologies, Liberalism, Libertarianism, Neoliberalism, Republicanism, Communitarianism, page 8.4. On the European continent, the doctrine of laws restraining even monarchs was expanded. Was expounded by Charles de Secondat, Baron de Montesquieu, within bracket 1689 to 1755, bracket close, whose the spirit of the laws argues that, within inverted comma, better is it to say that the government most conformable to nature is that which best agrees with the humour and disposition of the people in whose favour it is established. Inverted comma close. The late French Enlightenment saw two figures who would have tremendous influence on later liberal thought. Voltaire, within bracket 1694 to 1778, bracket close, who argued that the French should adopt constitutional monarchy and disestablish the second estate, and Rousseau, within bracket 1712 to 78, bracket closed, who argued for a natural freedom for mankind. Both argued in different forms for changes in political and social arrangements based around the idea that society can restrain a natural human liberty but not obliterate its nature. For Voltaire, the concept was more intellectual. For Rousseau, it was related to intrinsic natural rights, perhaps related to the ideas of Diderot. The Scotsman Adam Smith, within bracket 1723 to 90, expounded the theory that individuals could structure both moral and economic life without direction from the state, and that nations would be the strongest when their citizens were free to follow their own initiative. He advocated an end to feudal and mercantile regulations to state-granted monopolies and patents, and promulgated within inverted comma laissez-faire bracket closed inverted comma close government. In the theory of moral sentiments, 1759, he developed a theory of motivation that tried to reconcile human self-interest and an unregulated social order. In the Wealth of Nations, 1776, he argued that the market under certain conditions would naturally regulate itself and would produce more than the heavily restricted markets that were the norm of the time. He assigned to government the role of taking on tasks which could not be entrusted to the profit motive, such as preventing the individual from using force or fraud to disrupt competition, trade or production. Following him were Jeremy Bentham, within bracket 1748 to 1832, and de Tocqueville, within bracket 1805 to 1859, bracket closed, and with them the early liberalism within bracket may be called classical liberalism or negative liberalism bracket closed was complete. Its features were 1. Individual is a rational being capable of taking decisions. 2. A good society is one in which individual satisfaction is maximized. 3. Society is a conglomeration of individuals who maximize their interests. 4. Increased production, market mechanism and competitive devices all work for the maximization of individuals' interest. 5. Individual enterprise and unlimited rights to property are instruments working for the satisfaction of the individual's interest. From classical liberalism, liberalism moved on to become positive liberalism within bracket J. S. Mill and T. H. Green bracket closed. It advocates thought of the state as no more a necessary evil but as an institution which could do something for the individual. It emerged in the second half of the 19th century thanks to the Industrial Revolution with its loneliness. The larger part of the first half of the 20th century saw welfare liberalism within bracket Lasky, McLever within bracket closed, when the state exists to contribute in the fuller development of individual's personality on the one hand and regulating market rulers. I repeat, market rules on the other. The second half of the 20th century, that is since the 1960s, had libertarianism followed by new liberalism within bracket Hayek, Nozick, Rawls and the like bracket closed, demanding more free and autonomous individual and the least role of the state in affairs relating to the individual and the economy. Pluralism within bracket dull for consumption, for example, bracket closed, in the 1950s and 1960s. Communitarianism within bracket Walger, Sandel in 1970s bracket closed, and republicanism within bracket Skinner bracket closed, while criticizing one of the other aspect of liberalism, remained inclined towards it. Liberalism, classical, freedom as absence of interference. Next, egoistic individual. Next, limited government. Next, unhindered economy. Next, laissez-faire state. Next, rights oriented. Next, maximization of the individuals. Modern, freedom as self-mastery, autonomy. Developmental individual, enabling government, societal concerns, caring state, justice oriented, maximization of national growth. Liberalism, conservatism, quotes within inverted comma, liberalism is totalitarianism with a human face, inverted comma close, swell. Next, within inverted comma, liberalism is trust of the people tempered by prudence. Conservatism is distrust of the people tempered by fear, inverted comma close, Gladstone. Next, within inverted comma, a man who has both feet planted firmly in the air can be safely called a liberal as opposed to the conservative who has his feet firmly in his mouth. Bracket inverted comma close, Barjam. Next, within inverted comma, the liberals have tails and chase them all. Inverted comma close, Mencken. Next, within inverted comma, liberals tend to put the onus of your success on society, and conservatives on you and your family. Inverted comma close, pressure. Within inverted comma, if you are a liberal, anything you say is protected. If you are a conservative, anything you say is hateful. Inverted comma close, Schlesinger. Next, within inverted comma, liberalism is an attitude rather than a set of dogmas. Inverted comma close, Cohen. Chapter 8, Political Science, Political Ideologies, Liberalism, Libertarianism, new liberalism, republicanism, communitarism. Page 8.5 under liberalism. From liberalism with all its shades has its basic essentials almost the same. A belief in the autonomy of the individual, a passion for the existence and protection of the rights, liberties of the people, rationalism with an eye on future progress, consent of the people in the formation and in the functioning of the institutions, free economy, constitutionalism and toleration and limited government. Scholars have pointed out these essentials in the following forms. With political liberalism is the belief that individuals are the basis of law and society, and that society and its institutions exist to further the ends of individuals. It enfranchises all adult citizens regardless of sex, race or economic status. It emphasizes on the rule of law and supports liberal democracy. Next, cultural liberalism focuses on the rights of individuals pertaining to conscience and lifestyle, including such issues as sexual freedom, religious freedom, cognitive freedom and protection from government, intrusion into private life. John Stuart Mill aptly expressed cultural liberalism in his essay, within inverted comma, on liberty, inverted comma, close. He wrote, within inverted comma, the sole aim for which mankind are warranted, individually or collectively, in interfering with the liberty of action of any of their number is self-protection. That the only purpose for which power can be rightfully exercised over any member of a civilized community against his will is to prevent harm to others. His own good, either physical or moral, is not a sufficient warrant. Cultural liberalism generally opposes government regulation of literature, art, academics. Next, economic liberalism, also called classical liberalism and Manchester liberalism, is an ideology which supports the individual rights of property and freedom of contract, without which, it argues, the exercise of other liberties is impossible. It advocates laissez-faire capitalism, meaning the removal of legal barriers to trade and cessation of government bestowed privileges such as subsidy and monopoly. Economic liberals want little or no government regulation of the market. Some economic liberals would accept government restrictions of monopolies and cartels. Others argue that monopolies and cartels are caused by state action. Economic liberalism holds that the value of goods and services should be set by the unfettered choices of individuals, that is, of market force. Some would also allow market forces to act even in areas conventionally monopolized by government, such as provision of security and courts. Economic liberalism accepts the economic inequality that arises from the unequal bargaining positions as being the natural results of competition, so long as no coercion is used. Of late, there has been a tendency to reduce governmental interference to the minimum. Next, social liberalism, also known as new liberalism and reform liberalism, arose in the late 19th century in many developed countries, influenced by the utilitarianism of Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill. Some liberals accepted, in part or in whole, the Marxist and socialist exploitation theory and critics of, within inverted comma, the profit motive, inverted comma, close, and concluded that government should use its power to remedy these perceived problems. According to the tenets of this form of liberalism, as explained by writers such as John Dewey and Mortimer Adler, since individuals are the basis of society, all individuals should have access to the basic necessities of fulfillment such as education, economic opportunity, and protection from harmful macro events beyond their control. Chapter 8. Political ideologies: liberalism, libertarianism, neoliberalism, republicanism, and communitarianism. Page 8.6. A distinction has to be made between conservative liberalism, which is a right wing of the liberal movement, and liberal conservatism, which is a variant of conservatism with some liberal elements, influenced largely by Edmund Burke. Liberalism is stated to have achieved worldwide triumph during the late 20th century, with Fukuyama proclaiming the universalization of the Western liberal democratic system, and yet its challenges coming from communitarianism and feminism are no less real. Its tensions, therefore, are indeed real. On the one hand, it unfurls the flag of liberty, and on the other, it argues for equality. On the one hand, it works and in fact has to work within the framework of market society, and on the other, it promises equal opportunities to all. On the other hand, it is wedded to the unlimited rights of men for acquisition of property, and on the other, it seeks to curb the property rights for the common good. On the one hand, it views, as Macpherson says, man as desire of utilities, and on the other, it wants him as, within inverted comma, the enjoyer and the developer of his powers. On the one hand, it builds a capitalist economy, leading ultimately to inequality, and on the other, it seeks to establish an egalitarian society. Libertarianism quotes, within inverted comma, a government which robs Peter to pay Paul can always count on the support of Paul. G.B. Shaw. Next, within inverted comma, giving money and power to government is like giving whiskey and car keys to teenage boys. O. Rourke. Next, within inverted comma, the more corrupt the state, the more it legislates. Tacitus. Within inverted comma, when the government's boot is on your throat, it is of no conscience whether it is a left boot or a right boot. Inverted comma close. It is Lloyd. Next, within inverted comma, the government was set to protect man from the criminals, and the constitution was written to protect man from the government. Inverted comma close. Ayn Rand. Next, within inverted comma, it is dangerous to be right when the government is wrong. Inverted comma close. Volunteer. Within inverted comma, you cannot adopt politics as a profession and remain honest. Bias. Next, within inverted comma, whoever prefers life to death, happiness to suffering, well-being to misery, must defend without any compromise private ownership in the means of production. Von Mises. Page 8.7. Chapter 8. Political Science. Political Ideologies: Liberalism, Libertarianism, Neoliberalism, Republicanism, Communitarianism. 3. Libertarianism. It is political philosophy and individual rights and free will. 3. Libertarianism. Libertarianism. It is a political philosophy of individual rights and free will. It believes that the individuals have complete freedom of action, provided their actions do not harm others, nor their freedoms. For the libertarians, deprivation of individual rights is immoral. Obviously, the libertarians oppose governmental control over individuals' life. They view government as both the cause and the effect of all social ills. It is the cause of crime and prejudice because it robs people of their independence and frustrates initiative and creativity. Then, having created the sources of crime and prejudice, by depriving individuals of their natural rights. Government attempts to exercise the evils with more controls over natural rights. Libertarians believe that government should be limited to the defense of its citizen. There are broadly two types of libertarians: consequentialists and right theorists. Rights theorists hold that it is morally imperative that all human interactions, including government interactions with private individuals, should be voluntary and essential. Consensual. They maintain that the initiation of force by any person or government against another person or their property is a violation of that principle. Consequentialists, libertarians, do not have a moral prohibition against, within inverted comma, initiation of force, inverted comma close, but believe that allowing a very large scope for political and economic liberty results in the maximum well-being of efficiency for a society. Even if protecting this liberty involves some initiation of force by government, it just so happens that such governmental actions are limited in the free society they envision. This type of libertarianism is associated with Milton Friedman, Ludwig von Mises and Friedrich Wehr. Libertarians generally do not oppose force used to respond to initiatory aggressions such as violence, fraud and or trespassing. Libertarians favor an ethics of self-responsibility and strongly oppose the welfare state because they believe forcing someone to provide aid to others is ethically wrong, ultimately counterproductive, or both. Libertarians' passion for property right is unassailable. They hold the view that individuals have right to fully own and acquire property. There is, however, a distinction to be made between right libertarianism and left libertarianism, though both endorse full self-ownership. The right libertarianism holds that typically such resources may be appropriated by the first person who discovers them, mixes her or his labor with them, or merely claims that, without the consent of others and with little or no payment to them. Left libertarianism, by contrast, holds that appropriated natural resources belong to the everyone, requiring the first users to make a payment to others for the value of those rights who make a claim. Libertarianism can be traced back to ancient China, where philosopher Lao Tzu advocated the recognition of individual liberties. The modern libertarian theory emerged during the 16th century in his writings of Etienne de la Boétie, within bracket 1530 to 1563 bracket close, an eminent French theorist. During the 17th century, John Locke and a group of British reformers known as the Levellers fashioned the classical basis of libertarianism. It advocates in late 20th century included logic and Rawls as well. The central tenet of liberalism is the principle of self-ownership. To libertarians, an individual human being is sovereign over his or her body, extending through life, liberty and property. Stop. As such, libertarians define as being completely free in action, whilst not initiating force or fraud against the life, liberty or property of another human being. Libertarians generally view constraints imposed by the state or persons or their property, within bracket if applicable bracket closed, beyond the need to penalize infringement of one's rights by another as a violation of liberty. Anarchist libertarians favor no governmental constraints at all, based on the assumption that rulers and laws are unnecessary because in the absence of government, individuals would naturally form self-governing social bonds and rules. Libertarians generally defend the ideal of freedom, the perspective of how little one is constrained by authority, that is, how much one is allowed to do, which is referred to as negative liberty. This ideal is distinguished from a view of freedom focused on how much one is able to do, which is termed positive liberty, a distinction first noted by John Stuart Mill and later described in fuller details by Asia Berlin. Many libertarians view life, liberty and property as the ultimate rights possessed by the individuals and argue that comprising one necessarily endangers the rest. In democracies, they consider compromise of those individual rights by political action to be, within inverted comma, tyranny by the majority, inverted comma close, a term first coined by Alexis de Tocqueville. Chapter 8, Political Science, Political Ideologies, Liberalism, Libertarianism, New Liberalism, Republicanism, Communitarianism. Chapter 3, Libertarianism, page 8.8. Rawls, in his A Theory of Justice, regards liberty of the individual strengthening the tenets of justice and the state amidst inequalities, providing opportunities equal to all while caring for the rest, for the for the least advantaged ones. Logic within bracket, anarchy, state and utopia, bracket closed, is all for the individual, for his/her rights, within bracket, which are inalienable, bracket closed, and for the most minimal state. Critics of libertarianism from both the left and the right claim that libertarian ideas about individual economic and social freedoms are contradictory, untenable and undesirable. Critics from the left tend to focus on the economic consequences, free markets or laissez-faire capitalism, and of social inequality, poverty and lack of accountability for the most powerful. Criticism of libertarianism from the right tends to focus on issues of tradition and personal morality, claiming that the extensive personal, the right tends to focus on issues of tradition and personal morality, claiming that the extensive personal reforms promoted by libertarians encourage unhealthy and immoral behavior and undermine legislation. Chapter 4, New Liberalism. It is often called New Classical Liberalism. Ever since the 1970s or so, the revival of economic liberalism, evident through developments during the times of Reagan, Thatcher, Roger and Manmohan Singh, has sought to halt the trend towards collectivistic government and state intervention. Close to new right and globalization, new liberalism argues for unregulated market capitalism and for the individual whose within inverted comma free and within inverted comma autonomous. Neoliberalism, in the words of Margaret Thatcher, is nothing but individual within inverted comma. There is no such thing as society, only individuals and their families, inverted comma close. It opposes the inverted comma nanny state, a within bracket a state acting as a nursemaid, doing intensive social responsibility, that is welfare type of state, bracket closed, and reposes faith in self-help and entrepreneurialism. New liberalism, Andrew Haywood, within bracket political ideologies, says within inverted comma amounts to a form of market fundamentalism within inverted comma close. Within inverted comma the market inverted comma close, he continues, is seen to be morally and practically superior to government and any form of political control. Elizabeth Martinez and Arnoldo Garcia within bracket what is neoliberalism in interrogation bracket close specify the following main points of new liberalism. The rule of the market, freedom for capital, goods and services, where the market is self-regulating, allowing the within inverted comma trickle down notion of wealth distribution. It also includes the unionizing of labor forces and removal of any impediments to capital mobility such as regulation. The freedom is from the state or government. Reducing public expenditure. Next, reducing public expenditure for social services such as health and education by the government. Next, deregulation to allow market forces to act as a self-regulating mechanism. Next, privatization of public enterprise within bracket things from water to even the internet bracket closed. Next, changing perceptions of public and the community good to individualism and individual responsibility. Overlapping the above are also what Richard Robbins in his book Global Problems and the Culture of Capitalism summarizes some of the guiding principles behind the ideology of neoliberalism as sustained economic growth is the way of human progress. Next, free market without government interference would be the most efficient and socially optimal allocation of resources. Next, economic globalization would be beneficial to everyone. Next, privatization removes inefficiencies of the public sector. Next, government should mainly function to provide the infrastructure to advance the rule of law with respect to property rights and contracts. So explained, Martinez and Garcia define neoliberalism as a set of economic policies that have become widespread during the last 25 years or so. Although the word is rarely heard in the United States, one can clearly see the effects of this neoliberalism that has been imposed by powerful financial institutions like the International Monetary Fund, IMF, the World Bank and the Inter-American Development Bank. The capitalist crisis over the last 25 years with its shrinking profit rates inspired the corporate elite to revive economic liberalism. That's what makes it new and new. Its specific aspects include: 1. New space for the market, that is new areas of marketization. 2. Emphasis on property. 3. Private expansionism. And 4. Contract. And 5. Transactions of intensive markets. New liberalism is reigning all over Latin America. The first clear example of new liberalism at Work Center in Chile after the CIA supported coup against the popularly elected Allende regime in 1973. Other countries followed with some of its worst effects in Mexico, where wages declined by 42 to 80% in the first year of NAFTA, while NAFTA capital A, capital A, capital F, capital T, capital A, while the cost of living rose by 80%. Over 20,000 small and medium business have failed and more than 1,000 state-owned enterprises have been privatized in the Mexico. As one of the scholars said, neoliberalism means the new colonialization of Latin America. Inverted comma close. In a limited states, neoliberalism is destroying welfare programs, attacking the rights of labor within bracket including all immigrant workers, bracket closed, and cutting back social programs. The Republican, within bracket, contract on America is pure neoliberalism. Its supporters are working hard to deny protection to children, youth, women, the planet itself, and trying to trick people into acceptance by saying this way, within inverted comma, great government of their back, inverted comma close. The beneficiaries of neoliberalism are a minority of the world's people. For the vast majority, it brings even more sufferings than before. Sufferings without the small, hard-earned gains of the last 60 years. Sufferings without end. Opponents argue that neoliberalism is the implementation of global capitalism through government, military interventionism to protect the interests of multinational corporations. Notable opponents to neoliberalism in theory or practice include economists Joseph Stiglitz, Amartya Sen, Noam Chomsky, and the anti-globalization movement. Chapter 8, page 8.9. Chapter 8, political ideologies: liberalism, libertarianism, neoliberalism, republicanism, communitarianism. 5. Republicanism. Though closely related to the word within inverted comma republic, republicanism implies essentially two phenomena: 1. Public domain, and 2. Popular rule. Much more than a mere non-monarchy, republicanism is rooted in civic virtues which include public spiritedness, patriotism, public concern, and active citizenship, all these forming the notions of republicanism. Republicanism, as developed during the Renaissance, is known as classical republicanism, whose numerous motions included mixed governments, common good, a definite view of liberty, social contrast, separation of powers, and rule of law. The modern view of republicanism, referred to often as New Republicanism, lays emphasis on a general revival of republic thinking. The most important theorists of New Republicanism are Philip Pettit and Cass Sustain, of whom each had written a number of works defining republicanism and how it differs from liberalism. A late convert to republicanism from communitarianism, Michael Sandel is perhaps the most prominent advocate in the United States for replacing or supplementing liberalism with republicanism as outlined in his Democracy's Discontent, America in Search of a Public Philosophy. Republicanism is a system that replaces monarchical absolutist rule with citizenship based on individual liberty and civic virtues. Positively, it emphasizes on liberty. Negatively, the rejection of all forms of autocracies and aristocracies. Though separate conceptually from democracy, republicanism includes the key principles of rule by the consent of the government and sovereignty of the people. In effect, republicanism means that the king and the aristocracies are not the real rulers, but rather the people as a whole certainly are. As republicanism has as its base the core notion of the people, it must stand for protecting and promoting liberties of the people. So considered, liberties are related more to republicanism than to democracy. Chapter 8, Political Ideologies: Liberalism, Libertarianism, Neoliberalism, Republicanism, and Communitarianism. Page 8.10. Chapter 5, Republicanism. Republicanism is usually used in two senses. In the first sense, it refers to a loose tradition or a family of writers as diverse as Machiavelli, the Italian, the English Republicans such as Milton, Harrington, Sidney, the French, Montesquieu, Rousseau, and I repeat, Republicanism is usually used in two senses. In the first sense, it refers to a loose traditions or a family of writers as diverse as Machiavelli, the Italian, the English Republicans such as Milton, Harrington, Sidney, the French, Montesquieu, Rousseau, the Americans, Jefferson and Madison. These writers lay emphasis on the importance of civic virtue, political participation, the dangers of corruption, the benefits of mixed constitutions and rule of law, drawing heavily on the writings of Cicero and the Latin historians. The other sense in which the term within inverted comma republicanism is used is evident from the work of Quentin Skinner and Philip Pettit, who see in terms of the core value of liberty, one that is understood as non-dominion or independence from arbitrary power, which is to a great extent a within inverted comma negative inverted comma close concept. Pettit, who has done more than anyone else to develop this concept of republicanism, freedom, philosophically puts it thus: a person or group enjoys freedom to the extent that no other person or group has within inverted comma the capacity to interfere in their affairs or an arbitrary basis inverted comma close. On a plausible rendering of term within inverted comma domination inverted comma close as roughly speaking arbitrary power within bracket see Wartenberg, Pettit, Lovett bracket close, one may equivalently say that freedom in the republican sense is the enjoyment of non-domination. Such a meaning does not help exercise of self-mastery. It is essentially negative. Republican freedom merely requires the absence of something, namely the absence of dependence on arbitrary power or domination, and yet it is not absolutely within inverted comma negative, for it seeks to enlarge liberty through rightly ordered laws, institutions and norms. It is what departs them from the liberals and the libertarians on the one hand, and classical republicans on the other, who did not have such a comprehensive view of liberty as the modern republicans, new republicans or civic republicans have. Republicanism within bracket, that is civic republicanism bracket closed, remains committed to institutional devices within bracket the rule of law, separation of powers, federalism, constituently entrenched basic rights and so on bracket close. Republican theorists insist that lest the authorities use their power to reduce the quantum of republican notions, discretionary authority should be left in the hands of courts and public agencies. Republicanism sees remedy in the enhanced democracy. The idea is that properly designed democratic institutions should give citizens the effective opportunity to contest the decisions of their representatives. The possibility of contestation will make government agents wielding discretionary authority answerable, rendering them non-arbitrary. In many respects, civic republicanism remains an underdeveloped political doctrine. There are many issues that civic republicans have barely touched on. To mention just a few, multiculturalism, distributive justice, conservation and environmentalism and international relations still await substantial treatment. Haywood within bracket K concepts in politics bracket close criticizes republicanism as politically incoherent and illiberal. Chapter 8, Political Science, wrong. I repeat, republicanism lays emphasis on liberties of the individuals. Next, popular rule, that is rule of the people. Next, citizens practice to civic virtues. Next, opposed to aristocracy, oligarchy, monarchy and dictatorship. Chapter 8. Political ideologies: liberalism, libertarianism, neoliberalism, republicanism, communitarianism. Chapter 6. Communitarianism, page 8.11. The term communitarianism is of 20th century origin, though it is derived from the 1840s term communitarian, a word coined by Goodwin Brumby to refer to one who was a member or an advocate of a communalistic society. The modern use of the term is a redefinition of the original sense. It may not be regarded as ideology as Hewlett insists, but is a theoretical position. It opposes individualism and emphasizes on the importance of community in the functioning of political life, in the evolution and analysis of political institutions, and in the understanding of human identity. As a critic of Rawls, within inverted comma, a theory of justice and a reaction to his assumption that the task of the government is to secure and distribute fairly the liberties and economic resources of the individuals, relying on a conception of the individual who is atomistic and abstract, within bracket, opposing Nozick, Dworkin and Hayek, bracket close. The communitarian, within bracket, McIntyre, Taylor, Walger, bracket close, advocate phenomena such as civil society, community-oriented citizens and active citizenship. The term communitarianism is used in two senses. One, philosophical communitarianism considers classical liberalism to be incoherent and opposes it on that ground. Unlike classical liberalism, which construes communities as originating from the voluntary acts of pre-community individuals, it emphasizes on the role of the community in defining and shaping individuals. Communitarians believe that the value of community is not sufficiently recognized in liberal theories of justice. 2. Ideological communitarianism is a radical middle ideology that emphasizes on the community and is sometimes marked by leftism on economic issues and conservatism on social issues. This usage was coined recently. When the term is capitalized, it usually refers to the responsive communitarian movement of Amital Edjani and other philosophers. As a philosophy, communitarians claim that values and beliefs exist in public space. They argue that individual is not an isolated self, but is one rooted in the community, where he/she is born, inherits the culture in which he/she is nurtured, owes obligations to the society, which helps him/her raise personality, which society expects respect and the consideration from the individual. Ideologically, the communitarians seek to support the institutions of civil society and advocate positive rights such as free education, housing, safe and clean environment, health care, a social safety net. As against the libertarians who argue for rights, the communitarians insist on rights accompanied by social responsibilities. As against the libertarians who seek as minimum a state as is possible, the communitarians seek to establish and maintain institutions of civil society. As against the libertarians' advocacy of particularism, the communitarians insist on universalism. As against the libertarian passion for within inverted comma self, bracket inverted comma close, the communitarians value the importance of community life and active citizenship. As against the libertarian minimal state, the communitarians advocate a state that responds to the demands of the citizens. The critics of communitarians told that it is conservative as well as authoritarian It has conservative implications because it attempts to defend the existing social structures and moral codes. The feminists condemn communitarians for supporting the traditional sex roles. The authoritarian features in communitarianism emerge from the communitarians within emphasize on duties and obligations of the individuals over their rights. Communitarianism. Individual does not exist in isolation, but is constituted through the community. He/she is born in the society, in the cultural milieu. Next, individuals do not save rights. Inalienable, they have duties as well, inalienable. Next, the communitarian state is democratically constituted with citizens shaping it from time to time. Next, the communitarian state is responsible, so are its members. Page 8.11. Political Science. Political Science Chapter 8. Political Ideologies. Liberalism, Libertarianism, Neoliberalism, Republicanism, and Communitarianism. Exercises. Exercise 1. One of the following is not correct. A. Ideology constitutes a set of abstract doctrines. B. Doctrines which form part of ideology relate to the worldview held by a social group. C. Ideology contains inspirational aspects. It is action-oriented. The correct answer is A. Ideology constitutes a set of abstract doctrines. Exercise 2. Given below are two statements, one labeled as assertion A and the other labeled as reason R. Assertion A. Ideology motivates action. Reason R. Action may be preservation of revolution. In the context of the above two statements, which of the following is correct? A and R are true, R is correct explanation of A. B. A and R are true, R is not the explanation of A. C. A is true but R is false. D. A is false but R is true. The correct answer is C, that is A is true but R is false. 3. Ideology has exercise 3. 1. Ideology has always a goal to achieve. 2. Its truth is usually subject to scrutiny. Which of the statements given above are correct? A. 1 and 2 are correct. B. Only 1 is correct. C. Only 2 is correct. D. Both are wrong. A. 1 and 2 are correct. 1. Ideology has always a goal to achieve. 2. Its truth is usually subject to scrutiny. Exercise 4. Consider the following statements with regard to the concept of ideology. 1. Left ideology is traditionally best. 2. Right ideologies are forward-looking. 3. An ideology may be left, right, and a centrist. 4. It is a belief shared by a social group. Which of the statements given above are correct? A. 1, 2, B. 1 and 3, C. 1 and 4, D. 3 and 4. The correct answer is D, that is 3 and 4. 3. An ideology may be left, right, and a centrist. 4. It is a belief shared by a social group. Exercise 5. The following is known to have described the meaning of ideology. First of all, A. Taine, B. Destitute, D. Tracy, C. Marx, D. Manningham. The correct answer is A. Taine. Exercise 6. One of the following was the first to give ideology a negative connotation. A. Nozick, B. Napoleon, C. Marx, G. Gramsci, D. Gramsci. The correct answer is 6B, that is Napoleon. 7. One of the following does not match. A. D. Tracy, ideology is the science of ideas. B. Marx, it is always serves the interests of the ruling class. C. Marcus, it contains totalitarian overtones. D. Oxford, it is open through with a closed system. The correct answer is D, that is Oxford. It is open through with a closed system. Chapter 8. Political ideologies, liberalism, libertarianism, neoliberalism, republicanism, communitarianism. Exercise, page 8.3, exercise 8. Match list 1 with list 2 and select the correct code. In the horizontal line, list 1 and list 2. Under list 1, in the vertical column, against serial number capital A, Hawks, serial number capital B, Larin, serial number capital C, Siliger, serial number capital D, Eagleton. Under list 1, in the vertical column, serial number 1, ideology and introduction, serial number 2, Marxism and ideology, serial number 3, ideology, 4, ideology and politics. Code. In the horizontal line, capital A space, capital B space, capital C space, capital D. Under A in the horizontal, under A in the vertical column, against A3, B4, C3, D4. Under capital B in the vertical column, against A2, B1, C2, D1. Under capital C in the vertical column, against A1, B3, C4, D2. Under capital D against under capital D in the vertical column, against A4, B2, C1, D3. The correct answer is C. That is under A, Hawks. C 3, that is ideology. Under capital B, Larin. 2, that is Marxism and ideology. Under capital C, 4, that is ideology and politics. Under capital C, that is Seliger. 4, that is, I repeat, under capital B in the vertical column, 2, that is Marxism and ideology. Under C, Seliger. 4, that is ideology and politics. Under D, Eagleton. 1, that is ideology and introduction. Exercise 9. Mullins describes 4 characteristics of ideology. One of them is not the characteristic referred by him. A. Power over cognitions. B. Guidance towards action. C. Guidance towards evolution. D. Logical incoherence. The correct answer is D, that is logical coherence. Exercise 10. Marcuse wrote the following. A. 1. Dimensional man. B. 1. Dimensional woman. C. 1. Dimensional person. D. 1. Dimensional individual. Correct answer is A. 1. Dimensional man. Exercise 11. One of the following insists on proletarian hegemony. A. Engels. B. Lenin. C. Gramsci and D. Marx. The correct answer is C, that is Gramsci. Exercise 12. One of the following has given the non-Marxist meaning of ideology. A. Manningham. B. Stalin. B. C. Oakeshott and D. Kant. The correct answer is A. Manningham. Chapter 8. Political ideologies: liberalism, libertarianism, neoliberalism, republicanism and communitarianism. Exercise 13, page 8.13. Exercise 13. Who has described the third world as ideology? A. V.I. Lenin. D. Joseph Stalin. C. Herbert Marcuse and D. Hannah Arendt. The correct answer is D. Hannah Arendt. Exercise 14. Consider the following statements with regard to ideology. 1. Ideology gives a social scientific connotation. 2. It is more or less a set of coherent ideas. At 3. It hints at some political action. 4. There is always a vision of good society in its meaning. Which of the statements given above are correct? A. 1, 2, 4. B. 1, 3 and 4. C. 1, 2, 3, 4. D. 1 and 3. The correct answer is 1, 2, 3, 4. Ideology gives a social scientific connotation. 2. It is more or less a set of coherent ideas. 3. It hints at some political action. And 4. There is always a vision of good society in its meaning. 15. Match list 1 with list 2. In the horizontal line, list 1 space list 2. Under list 1, in the vertical column, capital A, Marxism, capital B, conservatism, C, fascism, and D. Anarchism. The under list 2 in the vertical column against serial number 1 right ideology, 2 left ideology, 3 right-left combination, and 4 right conservative ideology. Quote, in the horizontal line, capital A, capital B, capital C, capital D. Under capital A in the vertical column against A2, B2, C1, D2. Under capital D in the vertical column A1, B1, C2, D3. Under vertical column under capital C A3, B4, C4, D4. Under capital D in the vertical column against A4, B3, C3 and D1. The correct answer is B, that is under A, Marxism, 2, that is left ideology. Under B, that is conservatism, 1, that is right ideology. C, fascism, that is 4, right conservative ideology. D, anarchism, 3, that is right-left combination. Exercise 16. The main emphasis of liberalism is on A. laissez-faire socialism, B. authoritarian state, C. planned economy, D. political and economic freedoms of the individual. The correct answer is D. Political and economic freedoms of the individual. Exercise 17. Who among the following argued that the powers of the government have to be ultimately justified on the consent of the people? A. Plato and Aristotle, B. St. Augustine and St. Thomas Aquinas, and D. Hobbes and Locke. The correct answer is C, that is Hobbes and Locke. I repeat, exercise 17. Who among the following argued that the powers of the government have to be ultimately justified on the consent of the people? A. Plato and Aristotle, B. St. Augustine and St. Thomas Aquinas, and B. C. Hobbes and Locke, D. James I and Filmer. The correct answer is C, that is Hobbes and Locke. So exercise 18. Consider the following statements. 1. Hobbes begins with the state and ends up with the individual. 2. Hobbes begins with the state and ends up with the state. B. 3. Hobbes begins with the individual and ends up with the state. 4. Hobbes begins with the individual and ends up with the individual. Which of the statements given are correct? A. 1, 2 and 3, B. 1, 2, 3, 4, C. only 3, B. D. only 4. The correct answer is C, that is only 3. Against 3, Hobbes begins with the individual and ends up with the state. Exercise 19. Locke's 2 treatises on government established 2 fundamental liberal ideas. These are A. Economic liberty, within bracket, right to property, bracket closed, and intellectual liberty, within bracket, freedom of conscience, bracket closed. B. Political liberty, within bracket, right to vote, bracket closed, and social liberty, within bracket, right to be regarded as individual, bracket closed. C. Personal liberty, within bracket, individual's right to attend education, bracket closed, and national liberty, within bracket, right of the nation to be self-determinant, bracket closed. D. None of the above. The correct answer is A, that is economic liberty, within bracket, right to property, bracket closed, and intellectual liberty, within bracket, freedom of conscience, bracket closed. Exercise 20. Montesquieu is known for the following. A. Separation of politics from religion. B. Separation of powers. C. Separation of political power from economic power. D. Separation of public power from private power. The correct answer is B. Separation of powers. Exercise 21. Adam Smith wrote the following book. A. The Wealth of the State. B. The Wealth of the Individuals. C. The Wealth of the Society. D. The Wealth of Nations. The correct answer is D, that is the Wealth of Nations. Exercise 22. Voltaire argued for the following. A. Adoption of constitutional monarchy. B. Adoption of absolute monarchy. C. Adoption of elective monarchy. D. Adoption of nominative monarchy. The correct answer is A. Adoption of constitutional monarchy. Exercise 8, Chapter 8. Political ideologies, liberalism, libertarianism, neoliberalism, republicanism, communitarianism. The exercises, page 8.14, exercise 23. The main argument of Adam Smith is in the wealth of nations was A. Reign of the market, B. Reign of the government, C. Reign of the feudal order, D. Reign of the large corporations. The correct answer is A. Reign of the market. Exercise 24. Classical liberalism lays emphasis on A. Developmental individual, B. Freedom as self-mastery, C. Caring state, D. Maximization of the interests of the individual. The correct answer is D, that is maximization of the interests of the individual. Exercise 24. Cultural liberalism is based on A. Enfranchisement of all, B. Freedom of contract, C. Non-interference in the private life of the individual, D. Discrimination-free society. The correct answer is C. Non-interference in the private life of the individual. 26. Exercise 26. Match list 1 with list 2. In the horizontal line, list 1 space list 2. Under list 1, against serial number capital A, Freedom, serial number capital B, Boblo. Now, wrong. Repeat, Bobbio. Serial number C, Gramp, serial number C, repeat, serial number capital C, Gramp, serial number capital B, D, Tamir. Under list 1 in the vertical column, against 1, new liberal nationalism, against 2, the new liberalism, against 3, liberalism and democracy, against 4, economic liberalism. Quote, capital A space capital B space capital C space capital D. Under capital A in the vertical column, against serial number A3, serial number B3, serial number C2, serial number D2. Under capital B in the vertical column, against A1, against B1, against C3, against D3. Under capital C in the vertical column, against A4, B2, C1, D4. Under capital D in the vertical column, against A2, B4, C4, and D1. The correct answer is D, that is under capital A, freedom. 2, that is the new liberalism. Freedom. Wrong. Repeat. Under capital A means freedom. 2, that is the new liberalism. Under capital B, Bobbio. 3, that is liberalism and democracy. Under capital C, Gramp. 4, that is economic liberalism. Under capital D, Tamil. 1, liberal nationalism. Exercise 27. Which one of the following is not a principal postulate of liberal movement? A. Individual freedom, B. Powerful state, C. Rule of law, D. Political rights. Correct answer is B, that is powerful state. Exercise 28. Classical liberalism was a political doctrine which A. condemned laissez-faire capitalism, B. attacked absolutism and feudal privilege, C. opposed nationalism, D. spoke against individualism. The correct answer is B. attacked absolutism and feudal privilege. Exercise 29. Early liberalism stood on A. religious toleration, B. recognition of the divine right of kings, C. everything's medieval, both in philosophy and in politics, D. economic equality. The correct answer is A. religious toleration. Exercise 30. Which one of the following is not a tenet of liberalism? Capital A, only A, limited government, B, social classes as basic social units, C, upholding rights, D, separation of powers. The correct answer is B, social classes as basic social units. Exercise 31. The most essential principle of liberalism is A, equality, B, social justice, C, freedom, D, democracy. The correct answer is C, freedom. Exercise 32. Assertion A. Liberalism is not committed to maintaining a particular economic system. Reason R. Liberalism seeks to remove restrictions on individual liberty and equality. A. Both A and R are true. R is correct explanation of A. B. Both A and R are true. R is not the explanation of A. C. A is true but R is false. D. A is false but R is true. The correct answer is D. That is A is false but R is true. Exercise 33. Within inverted comma, an uncriticized individualism is always in danger of transformation into an uncritical collectivism. Who among the following thinkers held the view? A. Howard Spencer. B. J.A.S. Mill. C. Bernard Bonsenket. And D. F.H. Bradley. The correct answer is B. That is J.A.S. Mill. Page 8.15. Chapter 8. Political ideologies: liberalism, libertarianism, neoliberalism, republicanism, communitarianism. Exercises. Exercise 34. Which of the following pairs are correctly matched? 1. Human dignity, liberalism. 2. Rule of law dash fascism. 3. Stateless society dash anarchism. 4. Rigid state control dash totalitarianism. A. 1, 2, 3 and 4, B. 1, 3 and 4, C. 2 and 3, D. 1 and 4. The correct answer is B. That is 1, 3 and 4. 1. Human dignity dash liberalism. 3. Stateless society anarchism. 4. Rigid state control totalitarianism. Exercise 35. Assertion A. The individual's right to unlimited accumulation of private property came to be questioned in the 19th century political theories of Europe. Reason R. Such a right was seen to enhance the evils of an industrial society. A. Both A and R are true. R is correct explanation of A. Both A and R are true. R is not the explanation of A. C. A is true but R is false. D. A is false but R is true. The correct answer is A. Both A and R are true. R is correct explanation of A. Exercise 36. There are now 4 doctrines of liberalism. The correct order in which they appeared is A. Mercantilism, free trade, social Darwinism, interventionism. B. Mercantilism, social Darwinism, interventionism, free trade. C. Free trade, mercantilism, interventionalism, and social Darwinism. D. Free trade, mercantilism, social Darwinism, interventionism. The correct answer is A. Mercantilism, free trade, social Darwinism, and interventionism. Exercise 37. Which one of the following statements about present-day liberalism is not correct? A. It is based on the principle of possessive individualism. B. It accepts the idea of positive liberty. C. It believes in the principles of welfare state. D. It advocates the idea of distributive justice. The correct answer is A. It is based on the principle of possessive individualism. Exercise 38. According to the classical liberals, A. Democracy and liberty are complementary to each other. B. Democracy is a threat to liberty. C. Democracy is the end of democracy. Repeat, wrong. C. Liberty is the end of democracy. D. Liberty is the right of self-realization. The correct answer is D. That is, liberty is the right of self-realization. Exercise 39. Consider the following. Classical liberalism stands for 1. A state which is merely a night watchman. 2. Individualism. 3. Welfarism. 4. Free market. Which of these statements are correct? A. 1 and 2. B. 1, 2 and 3. C. 3 and 4. D. 1, 2 and 4. The correct answer is D. That is 1, 2 and 4. 1. A state which is merely a night watchman. 2. Individualism. And 4. Free market. Exercise 40. The philosopher who has transformed classical liberalism into a kind of welfarism in modern times is A. Hayek. B. Macpherson. C. Nozick. D. Rawls. The correct answer is B. Macpherson. Exercise 41. Which distinguishes modern liberalism from the classical one is A. The concept of socialist planning, B. Equalitarianism, C. Libertarianism, D. Corporatism. The correct answer is B. Egalitarianism. Egalitarianism is the correct answer. That is 41B. Exercise 42. Who among the following based liberalism on the primacy of rights? A. J. Mill, B. Jeremy Bentham, C. T.H. Green, D. Roland Dworkin. The correct answer is C. That is T.H. Green. Exercise 43. The utilitarian foundation of liberalism has been criticized from the viewpoint of Kantian ethics by A. John Rawls, B. Harold Lasky, C. Isaiah Berlin, and D. H. A. Hart. The correct answer is A. John Rawls. Exercise 44. Within inverted comma, the state exists merely because crime exists and its principal function therefore is to be protect, to restrain, and not to foster and promote. The above statement best reflects the ideas of A. Liberalism, B. Socialism, C. Anarchism, and D. Fascism. The correct answer is A. Liberalism. Exercise 45. The libertarians among the neoliberals are opposed to A. Rolling back to state, B. slimming the bureaucracy, C. restriction on monopolies, and D. freedom of the market. The correct answer is A. rolling back the state. Chapter 8. Political ideologies: liberalism, libertarianism, neoliberalism, republicanism, communitarianism. Exercises. Exercise 46. Neoliberals, page 8.16. Exercise 46. Neoliberals prioritize A. freedom of choice over equal treatment, B. equal treatment over freedom of choice, C. civic freedoms over political freedoms, D. equal treatment over equality of respect. The correct answer is A. freedom of choice over equal treatment. Exercise 47. Which one of the following statements provides the best representation of Hayek's opposition to planning? Interrogation. A. A market gives just desserts and hence is morally more acceptable than planning. B. A market does not distribute according to any moral criterion and hence maintains a free society. C. Planning is liable to be faulty. D. Distribution through market is more efficient than distribution through planning. The correct answer is D. That is, distribution through market is more efficient than distribution through planning. Exercise 48. Which of the following statements on planning reflects the thinking of Professor Hayek? A. Collective control of private activities of production and exchange. B. The direction of productive activity by a central authority. C. The extension of the functions of public authorities, organization, and resources. D. Deliberate direction by persons in charge of large resources of economic activity towards chosen ends. The correct answer is D. Deliberate direction by persons in charge of large resources of economic activity towards chosen ends. Exercise 49. Rawlsian liberalism is based on A. The utilitarian theory of good, B. Kantian constructivism in moral theory, C. A comprehensive moral theory, D. A substantive metaphysical theory. The correct answer is B. Kantian constructivism in moral theory. Exercise 50. The most outstanding contemporary advocate of liberalism is A. Rawls, B. Habermas, C. Dworkin, and D. Nozick. The correct answer is D. Nozick. Exercise 51. Which one of the following statements is correct? Welfare state envisages A. A fully egalitarian society. B. State ownership of the means of production. C. Abolition of private property. D. A system which combines right to personal property with state intervention for social security and providing help to the needy and indigent. The correct answer is D. A system which combines right to personal property with state intervention for social security and providing help to the needy and indigent. Exercise 52. Assertion A. During the interwar period, liberal parties all over Europe became strong. Reason R. The liberal principles were accepted by the various democratic parties. A. Both A and R are true. R is correct explanation of A. B. Both A and R are true. R is not the explanation of A. C. A is true but R is false. D. A is false but R is true. The correct answer is D, that is A is false, R is true. Exercise 53. One of the following first express the principles of liberalism. A. Locke. B. Rousseau. C. Mill. D. Bentham. The correct answer is C, that is Locke. Exercise 54. According to Locke, property included A. Life, liberty, equality. B. Liberty, equality, fraternity. C. Life, liberty, estates. D. Liberty, equality, justice. The correct answer is C. Life, liberty, estates. Exercise 55. Consider the following statements with regard to liberalism. 1. Natural rights belong to individuals. 2. Limited powers of the government. C. 3. State and government are regarded distinct. 4. Faith in human potential. Which of the statements given above are correct? A. 1, 2, 3. B. 2, 3, 4. C. 1, 2, 4. D. 1, 3, 4. The correct answer is 1, 2, 4. 1. Natural rights belong to individuals. 2. Limited powers of the government. 4. Faith in human potential. Exercise 56. A liberal by conviction believes in A. Equality, B. Liberty, C. Welfare, D. Justice. The correct answer is B, that is liberty. Exercise 57. The following constitute a combination of Republican theories. A. Skinner, Biroli, Petit. B. Hobbes, Locke, Rousseau. C. Bentham, Mill, Green. D. Marx, Engels, Lenin. The correct answer is A. Skinner, Biroli, Petit. Exercise 58. Assertion A. Liberalism insists on an economic system based on private property. Reason R. It regards all right, including liberty, as forms of property. A and R are true. R is correct explanation of A. B. A and R are true. R is not the explanation of A. C. A is true but R is false. D. A is false but R is true. The correct answer is A. That is A and R are true. R is the correct explanation of A. Exercise 59. Who said that liberalism is a habit of mind, no less than a political creed or doctrine? Interrogation. A. Massiver. B. Lasky. C. Lindsay. D. Maitland. The correct answer is B, that is Lasky. Exercise 60. Which of the following is true about liberal theory? 1. Liberalism is the political philosophy of proprietary. I repeat. 1. Liberalism is the political philosophy of the proprietary class. 2. It is a theory of liberty. 3. It is a theory of equality. 4. It is a theory of property. A. 1, 2 and 4. B. 1, 2 and 3. C. 1, 3 and 4. And D. 2, 3 and 4. The correct answer is A, that is 1, 2 and 4. That is 1. Liberalism is the political philosophy of the proprietary class. 2. It is a theory of liberty. 4. It is a theory of property. Page 8.17. Exercise 8. Political ideologies: liberalism, libertarianism, neoliberalism, republicanism, communitarianism. Exercises. Exercise 61. Liberalism roots go back to A. medieval papacy, B. ancient moral values, C. medieval nobility, and D. reformation. The correct answer is D, that is reformation. Exercise 62. Within inverted comma, pleasures being equal, Pushpin is a good as poetry. Inverted comma close. Who said it? A. Hobbes, B. Bentham, C. Mill, D. Green. The correct answer is B. Bentham. Exercise 63. Within inverted comma, Mill was the prophet of empty liberty, an abstract individual. Inverted comma close. The statement belongs to A. Harold Lasky, B. Ernest Barker, C. John Rawls, and D. Sidney Webb. The correct answer is B, that is Ernest Barker. 64. Libertarianism is related mainly to A. egalitarianism, B. social justice, C. welfareism, and D. liberty. The correct answer is D. liberty. 65. Libertarianism has a characteristic known as self-ownership, which does not include the following: A. full control rights over a thing, B. full power to transfer all rights to others, C. full use of rights for making the state welfare, D. full right to compensation if rights are violated. The correct answer is A. full control rights over a thing. Exercise 66. The following is described as the Lockean right libertarian: A. Rawls, B. Dworkin, C. Nozick, D. Hayek. The correct answer is C, that is Nozick. Exercise 67. The following is described as self-libertarian: A. George, B. Rawls, C. Gibbard, and D. Cohen. The correct answer is A. George. Exercise 68. It is legitimate to the libertarians if the state A. forces the citizens to ride the motorcycle without a helmet, B. forces the citizen to help provide for the needy, C. forces to pay for the cost of the welfare state, D. forces to pay for the police service. The correct answer is D. forces to pay for the police service. Exercise 69. Libertarians argue for the following type of state: A minimal state, B. a maximum state, C. a welfare state, D. a laissez-faire state. The correct answer is A. minimal state. Exercise 70. One of the following is not the emphasis of neoliberalism. Exercise A. Free market methods, B. fewer restrictions on business operations, C. governmental activity is fairly promoted, D. free trade at the international level. The correct answer is C. governmental activity is fairly promoted. Chapter 8. Political ideologies: liberalism, libertarianism, neoliberalism, republicanism, communitarianism. Exercises, page 8.18, exercise number 71. Consider the following statements with regard to neoliberalism. 1. It is re-economics. 2. It is Rojanomics. 3. It is Manmohanomics. 4. It is Liberonomics. Which of the correct statements given above are correct? A. 1, 2, 3, B. 2, 3, 4, and C. 1, 2, 4, D. 1, 3, 4. The correct answer is A, that is 1. It is re-economics, REAGANOMICS. 2. It is Rojanomics, ROGRNOMICS. 3. It is Manmohanomics, MANMOHANOMICS. Exercise 72. Neoliberalism advocates the following type of state: A. welfare, B. global, C. promotive, and D. neoclassical. Correct answer is D. neoclassical. Exercise 73 within inverted comma. The workers have nothing to sell but their labor power. bracket close. This statement belongs to A. Neoliberalism, B. Liberalism, C. Marxism, D. Libertarianism. The correct answer is C, that is Marxism. Exercise 74. Assertion A. Ravel's argument is that liberty cannot be restricted. Reason R. He also says liberty can be restricted if it is to be protected. A and R are true. A and R are true. R is the correct explanation of A. B. A and R are true. R is not the explanation of A. C. A is true but R is false. D. A is false but R is true. The correct answer is A. That is A and R are true. R is the correct explanation of A. B. A and R are true. R is not the explanation of A. Now the correct answer is A. That is A and R are true. R is the correct explanation of A. The answer of 74 is A. That is A and R are true. R is the correct explanation of A. 75. Exercise 75. 1. The within inverted comma right critics of libertarianism hold the view that individuals learn to experience social inequality. 2. The within inverted comma left critics of libertarianism claim that the individual economic and social freedoms which libertarianism focuses is undesirable. A. Only 1 is correct. B. Only 2 is correct. C. Both A and 2 are correct. And D. Both A and 2 are false. The correct answer will be D. Both A and 2 are false. If we reverse the argument, both will be correct. Hence, both are false. Exercise 76. Neoliberalism is A. Revival of economic liberalism. B. Revival of political liberalism. C. Revival of cultural liberalism. D. Revival of social liberalism. The correct answer is A. Revival of economic liberalism. Exercise 77. New liberals, as Thatcher says, oppose the following type of state. A. Laissez-faire state. B. Minimal state. C. Nanny state. And D. Individualist state. The correct answer is C. That is nanny state. Nanny state is a state that takes care of individuals' social problems. Exercise 78. Consider the following with regard to neoliberalism. A. Marketization. 2. Reduction of expenditure on social services. 3. Privatization and deregulation. 4. Regulation of export and import rules. Which of the above are correct? A. 1, 2, 3. B. 1, 3 and 4. C. 2, 3, 4. D. 1, 2 and 4. The correct answer is A. That is 1, 2, 3. Marketization. 1, 2. Reduction of expenditure on social services. 3. Privatization and deregulation. Exercise 79. Neoliberalism lays emphasis on A. Individual and markets. B. Markets and regulations. C. Regulations and free trade. D. Free trade and socialism. The correct answer is A. Individual and markets. Exercise 80. Match list 1 with list 2. In the horizontal line, list 1 space list 2. Under list 1 in the vertical column against serial number capital A, Bourdieu. Against serial number capital B, Smith. Against serial number capital C, Fink. Against serial number capital D, Petit. Under list 1 in the vertical column against serial number 1, republicanism. Against serial number 2, cooperative capitalism. Against serial number 3, the essence of new liberalism. Against serial number 4, the classical republicanism. Code capital A, space capital B, space capital C, space capital D. Under capital A in the vertical column against A, serial number A, 3, serial number B, 3, serial number C, 3, serial number D, 2. Under B in the vertical column against serial number A, 4, B, 2, C, 1, D, 4. Under capital C in the vertical column against A, 2, B, 4, C, 2, D, 3. Under capital D in the vertical column against A, 1, B, 1, C, 4, D, 1. The correct answer is B. That is under capital A, Bourdieu, 3, that is the essence of neoliberalism. Under capital B, that is 2, cooperative capitalism. Under capital C, that is Fink. 4, that is the classical republicanism. Under capital D, Petit. 1, that is republicanism. Exercise 81. Republicanism owes its origin to A. Reformation, B. Renaissance, C. Enlightenment, and D. All the above. The correct answer is B, that is Renaissance. Exercise 82. The core thrust of republicanism is on A. Liberties, B. Obligations, C. Accountability, D. Representation. The correct answer is A, that is liberties. Page 8.19. Exercise 8. Political ideologies: liberalism, libertarianism, neoliberalism, republicanism, communitarianism. Exercises. Exercise 83. One of the following does not match. A. Skinner, Republican. Bourdieu, communitarian. C. Dworkin, libertarian. D. George, new liberal. The correct answer will be B. Bourdieu, communitarian. Bourdieu is a new liberal. Exercise 84. The following book is not written by Sandel. A. Liberalism and the Limits of Justice. B. Democracy's Discontent. C. Sources of the Self. D. None of the above. The correct answer is C, that is Sources of the Self. Sources of the Self has been written by Charles Taylor. Exercise 85. One of the following is convert from communitarism to republicanism. A. Charles Taylor. B. Michael Walzer. C. Michael Sandel. And D. Alasdair MacIntyre. The correct answer is D, that is Michael Sandel. Exercise 86. The main argument of the opponents of neoliberalism is A. Capitalism leads to socialism. B. Socialism leads to communism. Wrong. Repeat. Exercise 86. The main argument of the opponents of neoliberalism is A. Capitalism leads to socialism. B. Socialism leads to communism. C. Capitalism is becoming global so as to protect the interests of the multinational corporations. D. Neoliberalism is benefiting the majority. The answer is C, that is capitalism is becoming global so as to protect the interests of the multinational corporations. Exercise 87. One of the following is not a critique of neoliberalism. A. Noam Chomsky. B. Ronald Reagan. C. Amartya Sen. And D. Joseph Stiglitz. The correct answer is B. Ronald Reagan. Exercise 88. Neoliberalism attacks A. Marketization, B. Privatization, C. Liberalization, and D. Collectivization. That is, correct answer is D. Collectivization. Exercise 89. The following form a group of Republican theorists: A. Petit and Skinner, B. Skinner and Bourdieu, C. Bourdieu and Sunstein, D. Sunstein and Walzer. The correct answer is A. Petit and Skinner. Exercise 90. Consider the following with regard to the notions upheld by classical republicanism: A. 1. Rule of law, 2. Dangers of corruption, 3. Political participation, 4. Political representation. Which of the above are correct? A. 1, 2, 3, B. 1, 3, 4, C. 1, 2, 4, and D. 2, 3, 4. The correct answer is A, that is 1, 2, 3. Exercise 91. One of the following is not correct. A. Republicanism emphasizes on liberties. B. Communitarianism insists on social obligations. C. Neoliberalism advocates a welfare state. D. Liberalism favors a limited state. The correct answer is A. C. That is, correct answer is C. That is, neoliberalism advocates a welfare state. Exercise 92. Contemporary republicanism is also known as a civic republicanism. B. Renaissance republicanism. C. Neoliberal republicanism. D. Social republicanism. The correct answer is A. Civic republicanism. Exercise 93. Communitarians condemn 1. Libertarians for having built an abstract individual. 2. They however agree with libertarians in seeking a most minimal state. A. Only one is correct. B. Only two is correct. C. 1 and 2 both are false. D. 1 and 2 both are correct. The correct answer is A. That is only one is correct. 94. That is only one is correct. That is libertarians for having built an abstract individual. Exercise 94. 1. Both libertarians and communitarians insist on rights accompanied by social obligations. 2. Libertarians advocate particularism while communitarians insist on universalism. A. Only one is correct. B. Only two is correct. C. 1 and 2 both are correct. D. 1, 2 both are false. The correct answer is only 2 is correct. That is, libertarians advocates particularism while communitarians insist on universalism. Exercise 95. Which one of the following theories posits a pre-political society as its point of departure? Interrogation. A. Communitarianism. B. Civic republicanism. C. Lockean liberalism. D. Hobbes' theory of social contract. Correct answer is D. Hobbes' theory of social contract. Exercise 96. The feminist criticism against communitarianism revolves around A. Communitarians insist on gender-sex inequality. B. They admit the traditional sex roles. C. They argue that the private life belongs to women. D. They insist on patriarchy. The correct answer is D. B. They admit the traditional sex roles. Page 8.20, Chapter 8, Political Ideologies, Liberalism, Libertarianism, Neoliberalism, Republicanism, Communitarianism. Exercises. Exercise 97. Match list 1 with list 2. In the horizontal line, list 1 space list 2. Under list 1, within bracket, book. Under list 1 book. In the horizontal, in the vertical column, against capital A, serial number capital A, anarchy, state and utopia. Against serial number capital B, a theory of justice. Against serial number capital C, democracy and its critics. Against serial number capital D, capitalism and capitalism. Under list 1, within bracket, author. Against 1, Milton Friedman. Against 2, serial number 2, Robert Nozick. Against serial number 3, John Rawls. Against serial number 4, Robert Dahl. Code. Capital A space, capital B space, capital C space, capital D. Under A, in capital A in the vertical column, against serial number A2, serial number B4, serial number C2, serial number D4. Under capital B, against serial number A1, B3, C3, D1. Under capital C, against serial number A4, B2, C4, D2. Under capital D, against serial number A3, B1, C1 and D3. The correct answer is C. That is under capital A, anarchy, state and utopia. 2, that is Robert Nozick. B, a theory of justice. 3, that is John Rawls. Capital C, democracy and its critics. 4, Robert Dahl. Under capital G, capitalism and capitalism. 1, that is Milton Friedman. Exercise 98. Which one of the following statements is correct? A. Right watchman / minimal state is one which A. ensures law and order. B. Cares for its citizens. C. Protects minimum wages for the workers. And D. Safeguards the social and economic rights of citizens. Correct answer is A. Ensures law and order. Exercise 99. One of the following is not a book written by Howard Marcuse. A. Reason and revolution. B. Revolution and counter-revolution. C. Eros and civilization. D. One-dimensional man. The correct answer is B, that is revolution and counter-revolution. The name of the book by Marcuse is Counter-Revolution and Revolt. Exercise 100. Match list 1 with list 2. In the horizontal line, list 1 space list 2. Under list 1 author, under list 2 book. Under list 1 against, in the vertical column, against capital A, Maclellan. Under capital B, Marcuse. Under capital C, Darwin. Under capital D, Agony. Under list 2 books. In the vertical column, under list 1 in the vertical column against serial number 1, The Origins of Species. Against serial number 2, Marxism after Marx. Against serial number 3, Reason and Revolution. Against serial number 4, The Active Society. Code. Capital A space in the horizontal line, capital A space, capital B space, capital C space, capital D. Under capital A in the vertical column against serial number A2, B2, C2, D2. Under capital B in the vertical column against serial number A1, B3, C3, D4. Under capital C against A3, B4, C1, D1. Under capital D in the vertical column against A4, B1, C4, D3. The correct answer is C, that is under A, that is Maclellan. 2, that is Marxism and after Marx. Under capital B, Marcuse. 3, that is Reason and Revolution. Under capital C, Darwin. 1, that is The Origins of Species. Under capital D, Agony. 1, that is The Origins of Species. No, wrong. 4, that is 4, The Active Society. So the answer will be C. Under capital A, 2, that is Marxism after Marx. Under capital B, 3, that is Reason and Revolution. Under capital C, that is 1, The Origins of Species. Under capital D, 4, The Active Society. Page 8.20, Chapter 8, Political Ideologies, Liberalism, Libertarianism, Neoliberalism, Republicanism, Communitarianism. Exercises. Wrong. 8.21. Exercise 101. Only one of the following does not match. A. Thomas Pengel, The Spirit of Modern Republicanism. B. Quentin Skinner, Visions of Politics. C. Susan George, How the Other Half Lives. D. Howard Marcuse, Repressive Tolerance. The correct answer is C, that is Susan George, How the Other Half Lives. The correct answer is C, that is Susan George, How the Other Half Lives. Susan George's book is How the Other Half Dies. Exercise 10T. One of the following books has not been written by Pettit. A. Republicanism. B. A Theory of Freedom. C. Roots, Reasons and Norms. D. The Moral Dimension. The correct answer is D. The Moral Dimension. The book, The Moral Dimension, Dimension. The book, The Moral Dimension, has been written by Ajit Nai. Exercise 103. Match list 1 with list 2. In the horizontal line, list 1 space list 2. Under list 1, ideology. Under list 2, theme. Under list 1, under ideology, in the vertical line, against serial number capital A, liberalism. Against serial number capital B, libertarianism. Against capital C, neoliberalism. Against capital D, communitarianism. Under list 1, theme, against serial number 1, individual based against serial number 2 community based, against serial number 3 rights based, against serial number 4 market based. Fourth, in the horizontal column, capital A space capital B space capital C space capital D. Under capital A in the vertical column, against serial number A1, serial number B1, serial number C1, serial number D1. Under capital B, against serial number A3, B3, C2, D4. Under capital C, against serial number A4, B2, C3, D3. Under capital D, against serial number A2, B4, C4, D2. The correct answer is A. That is under the serial number A, liberalism. 1, that is individual based. Under capital B, libertarianism. 3, that is rights based. Under capital C, neoliberalism. 4, that is market based. Under D, capital D, communitarianism. 2, that is community based. Exercise 104, assertion A. A liberal society is characterized more by diversity than by pluralism. Reason R, pluralism is one of the shades of liberalism. Quote, A and R are true, R is the correct explanation of A. B, A and R are true, R is not the explanation of A. C, A is true but R is false. D, A is false but R is true. The correct answer is D, that is A is false but R is true. Exercise 105. According to the libertarians, the state is A, an evil, B, a necessary evil, C, a necessary institution, D, a positive organization. The correct answer is B, a necessary evil. Exercise 106. One of the following does not match with regard to ideology. A, D. Tracy, Science of Ideas. B, Marx, False Consciousness. C, Oakeshott, Concrete Principles. D, Seliger, a set of ideas. The correct answer is C, Oakeshott, Concrete Principles. Oakeshott says ideology is a system of thought which orients politics to abstract principles. 107. Republicanism is associated with A, passive citizenship, B, social citizenship, C, active citizenship, D, cultural citizenship. The correct answer is C, active citizenship. Exercise 108. The following has coined the word communitarianism. A, Wade, B, Barmby, C, Babeuf, and D, Fourier. The correct answer is B, that is Barmby. Exercise 109. One of the following is associated with the new golden rule. A, Aristotle, B, Burke, C, Eugenie, and D, Voltaire. The correct answer is C, Eugenie. Exercise 110. New liberalism is an updated version of the following. A, social liberalism, B, cultural liberalism, C, economic liberalism, and D, political liberalism. The correct answer is C, that is economic liberalism. Page 8.22. Chapter 8. Political ideologies: liberalism, libertarianism, neoliberalism, republicanism, communitarianism. In this chapter, philosophers, personalities and scholars. Brumby John Godins, a British utopian socialist, a supporter of Robert Wayne, a writer and organizer of communitarianism. He is known to have coined the word communitarian, also the word communism, during the visit to Paris in 1840 in conversation with the followers of Gressus, Babeuf, Bourdieu, Pierre, within bracket 1930 to 2002, bracket closed. A French socialist, he is best known for his book Distinction, a social critique of the judgment of taste. His other books, The Essence of New Liberalism. Darwin Charles, within bracket 1809 to 1882, bracket closed, an English naturalist, is known for evolutionary theory works on the origin of the species, the descent of man. Ethjuni A. within bracket 1929, an Israeli-American socialist famous for his work on socio-economic problems and communitarianism. He was a founder of the communitarian movement in the early 1990s. His main idea is that the individual rights and aspirations should be protected, but that they should be inserted into the sense of the community. Works, the active society, the moral dimension, the spirit of community, the new golden rule, the limits of privacy. George Sushan, a well-known political scientist and writer on third world poverty and development, date. She is fellow of the Transnational Institute, a critic of the current policies of the IMF, World Bank, calls them within inverted comma man development model, bracket close, works how the other half dies, a fate worse than death, the death boomerang. Marcus Hubbard within bracket 1898 to 1979, a German and later American philosopher and sociologist, a member of the Frankfurt School associated with the critical theory, works Reason and Revolution, Eros and Civilization, One-Dimensional Man, Repressive Tolerance, Counter-Revolution and Revolt. McClellan David F., a British political scientist, a professor of political theory, wrote much on Marx, works, Marx, Karl Marx, his life and thought, Engels, Marxism after Marx, Karl Marx, the legacy. Pangel Thomas, within bracket, 1944, an American political scientist. His PhD dissertation was on Montesquieu and the moral basis of liberal democracy, within inverted comma. His major interest is in ancient political theory, works Montesquieu's philosophy of liberalism, the laws of Plato, the roots of political philosophy, the spirit of modern republicanism, the enabling of democracy, justice among nations, Leo Strauss. Petit Philippe, within bracket, 1945, bracket closed, an Irish philosopher, political theorist, and criminologist known for defending republicanism, works The Common Mind, Republicanism, Three Methods of Ethics, a theory of freedom, rules, reasons, and norms. Reagan Roland, within bracket, 1911 to 2004, the 40th President of the US, a Hollywood actor, a New Deal Democrat, became Republican in 1962, known for his economics consisting of large tax cuts, moderate deregulation, increases in defense spending, also known for the policy of peace through strength. Skinner Quentin, within bracket 1940, a Regius Professor of Modern History at Cambridge University, a Renaissance Republican, a principal member of the Cambridge School, inverted comma close, works The Foundations of Modern Political Thought. Machiavelli, Liberty Before Liberalism, Visions of Politics. Smith J.W., an independent economist, founded the Institute of Economic Democracy, works Economic Democracy, the Political Struggle of the 21st Century, Cooperative Capitalism, the World's Wasted Wealth. Sustain Cass, within bracket 1954, an American law professor, works after the Rights Revolution, the Partial Constitution, free markets and social justice, risk and reason, why societies need decent laws of free or judges political interrogation. In Photopia, how many minds produce knowledge. Page 8.23, chapter 8, political ideologies, liberalism, libertarianism, neoliberalism, republicanism, communitarianism. In this chapter, key terms and concepts. Atomism is the belief that society should be viewed in terms of the individual's importance and that society is artificially constructed. Autarky, economic self-sufficiency brought about through expansion of markets. Bourgeois, the Marxian term for the capitalist class, a word of French origin, those who possess property and earn it for wealth's sake. Bourgeoisie, the term referring to the rich. Corruption, it is the misuse of public office for private gain, the practice of unlawful or improper use of influence, power and other means. Political offices have been susceptible to corruption throughout history. Grant's presidency was marred by the corruption of some of his officers. Dialectic, a process of development in which conflict between two opposing forces leads to a higher stage. Egoism is an exaggerated belief in one's own importance, excessive preoccupation with one's own well-being and self-interest. Fundamentalism is the belief in absolute religious authority and the demand that his religious authority be legally enforced. Often fundamentalism involves the willingness to do battle for one's faith. Individualism is a belief in the importance of the individual and in the virtue of self-reliance and personal independence. Market is a mechanism which allows people to trade normally, governed by the theory of supply and demand, so allocating resources through a price mechanism and bid and ask matching so that those willing to pay a price for something meet those willing to sell for it. In some fields of study, a market is assumed to be the only mechanism. Minarchism, sometimes called minimal statism, is the view that government should be as minimum as possible. Many minarchists consider themselves part of the libertarian tradition and claim that what they call minarchy continues to be tradition of classical liberal philosophy. Minarchists are opposed to anarchism, believing it native and believing it naive and overly simplistic. New left is a term used in political discourse to refer to radical movements from the 1960s onward. It differed from earlier leftist movements that had been more oriented towards labor activism. It instead adopted a broader definition of political activism commonly called social activism. The within inverted comma, the new left bracket close was an intellectually driven movement which attempted to correct the perceived failures of within inverted comma old left inverted comma close parties in the post WWH period. New right is used in several countries as a descriptive term for various forms of conservatism that emerged in the mid to late 20th century. Patriotism is a feeling of love and devotion to one's own homeland, willingness to sacrifice for the country. Statism is a term to describe any economic system where a government implements a significant degree of centralized economic planning, which may include state ownership of the means of production. as opposed to a system where the overwhelming majority of economic planning occurs at a decentralized level by private individuals in a relatively free market, heavy intervention of the state in social affairs. Page 8.24. Chapter 8. Political ideologies: liberalism, libertarianism, neoliberalism, republicanism, communitarianism. In this chapter, authors and books. Appleby Joyce, Liberalism and Republicanism in Historical Imagination. Arblaster Anthony, The Rise and Decline of Western Liberalism. Ardent Hannah, On Human Condition, within inverted comma, What is Freedom? Interrogation inverted comma close, in between past and future. 8 exercises in political thought. The origins of totalitarianism. Abineri S. and D. Shalit A. within bracket EDS bracket close. Communitarianism and individualism. Barry Brave, Culture and Equality, and egalitarian critique of multiculturalism. Barry N.P., Classical Liberalism and Libertarianism. Bell D., a communitarian critique of authoritarianism society, communitarianism and its critics. Bardsland David, Libertarianism in One Lesson. Bemet R., The Structure of Liberty, Justice and the Rule of Law. Barry Norman, On Classical Liberalism and Libertarianism. Boj David, Libertarianism, a Primer. Bobbio Norberto, Liberalism and Democracy. Bourdieu Pierre, The Essence of New Liberalism. Braithwaite John and Pettit Philip, Not Justice Dissert, Repeat, Not Just Deserts, a Republican Theory of Criminal Justice. Brennan, Geoffrey and Philip Pettit, within inverted comma, The Hidden Economy of Esteem, inverted comma close, Economics and Philosophy. Canny S., within inverted comma, Liberalism and Communitarianism, C., a misconceived debate, bracket close, Political Studies. Carl Snace Walter, Ideology and Foreign Policy. Cohen C.A., Self-Ownership, Freedom and Equality. Dejer Richard, Civic Virtues, Rights, Citizenships and Republicanism, Liberalism. De Rogero Guido, The History of European Liberalism. J. Laziens Martin, within inverted comma, Milton's Classical Republican, inverted comma close, in Milton and Republicanism. Eggleton T., Ideology and Introduction. Eugenio A., The Essential Communitarian Reader, New Communitarian Thinking, The Spirit of Community. Fink Jera, The Classical Republicans. Frieden M., Ideologies and Political Theory, The New Liberalism and Ideology of Social Reform. Friedman D., The Machinery of Freedom. George Sushan, A Short History of New Liberalism. Girvage Harry K., The Evolution of Liberalism. Chapter 8. Political Ideologies: Liberalism, Libertarianism, Neoliberalism, Republicanism, Communitarianism. Page 8.25. In this chapter, authors and books. Goldsmith, Maurice Isaac, within inverted comma, Republican Liberty Considered, with inverted comma close, History of Political Thought. Graham William D., Economic Liberalism. Gray John, false dawn, the delusions of global capitalism, liberalism. Hackenstein, republicanism, in Robert E. Goodin and Philip Pettit Yates, a composition of contemporary political philosophy. Hall John A. Liberalism, politics, ideology, and the market. Hallowell John H. The decline of liberalism as an ideology. Hamilton McCallum B. The elements of the concept of ideology. Hawkers David, ideology. Hayek F.A. The Constitution of Liberty. Hobhouse L.T. within inverted comma liberalism bracket inverted comma close and other writings. Holmes Stephen, The Anatomy of Anti-Liberalism. Honohan Assault, Civic Republicanism. Hosper J. Libertarianism. Kramick Isaac, Republicanism and bourgeois radicalism. Kemlicka W. Multicultural citizenship, liberalism, community and culture. Kimlicka Will Aid, The rights of minority cultures. Lorraine George, Marxism and ideology. Lasky Harold J. The rise of European liberalism. McCarthy within bracket ED bracket close, the libertarian alternative, the libertarian reader. McIntyre A. Whose justice interrogation, whose rationality interrogation, liberal virtues, citizenship, virtue and community in liberal constitutionalism after virtue. Martinich Elizabeth and Gracia Arnold. What is new liberalism? Maynard John, republicanism in the modern world. McLeod David S. ideology. Marquardt J. G. liberalism old and new. Miller David on nationality. Miner David M. ideology and political behavior. Mulhall S. and Swift A. liberals and communitarians. Mullins Willard A. on the concept of ideology in political science. Narverson J. the libertarian idea. Nozick R. anarchy, state and utopia. Otsuka M. libertarianism without inequality. Pangle Thomas L. the spirit of modern republicanism. Page 8.26. Exercise 8. Political ideologies, liberalism, libertarianism, neoliberalism, republicanism, communitarianism. In this chapter, authors and books. Patain Allen, The Republican Critique of Liberalism, British Journal of Political Science. Pettit Philip, within inverted comma, The Freedom of the City, a Republican Ideal, inverted comma close. In Alan Hamlin and Philip Pettit, within bracket 8 bracket close, The Good Policy Republicanism, a Theory of Freedom and Government. Phillips and Ed, Feminism and Politics. Pocock J.G.A., The Machiavellian Movement. Florentine Political Thought and the Atlantic Republican Tradition. Republics, Ancient and Modern, Classical Republicanism and the American Revolution. Rasmussen D. within bracket ED, Universalism versus Communitarianism. Ravels J. Political Liberalism, a Theory of Justice. Robbins Richard H. Global Problems and the Culture of Capitalism. Rothbard M. For a New Liberty, the Libertarian Manifesto. Sandel M. Liberalism and the Limits of Justice. Democracy's Discontent. Switzermental J. The Age of Ideology. Salinger M. Ideology and Politics. Skinner Quentin, The Foundation of Modern Political Thought. Volume 1, The Renaissance. Machiavelli, A Very Short Introduction. Within inverted comma, Machiavelli on the maintenance of liberty, inverted comma, close, politics. Within inverted comma, the idea of negative liberty, inverted comma, close, in Richard Rorty. J.B. Skinwind and Skinner. Within bracket 8, Philosophy of History, Essays of the Historiography of Philosophy. Smith J.W., The World's Wasted Health. Cooperative Capitalism, Economic Democracy. Sunstein Cas R, The Partial Constitution. Within inverted comma, Machiavelli and the Republican Ideas of Politics, inverted comma, close. In Giseli Beck, Quentin Skinner and Maurizio Viroli. Within bracket 8, Machiavelli and Republicanism. Tamir Ewell, Liberal Nationalism. Tams H, Communitarism, A New Agenda for Politics and Citizenship. Taylor C, Source of the Self, The Making of the Modern Identity. Philosophy and the Human Science, Philosophical Papers 2. Thomson J.B., Studies in the Theory of Ideology. Von Mises Ludwig, Liberalism and Classical Tradition. Waite L., within inverted comma, Social Science Finds, Marriage Matters, inverted comma, 21st Century Series in Communitarian Studies. Welger M., Thick and Thin. Spheres of Justice. Wartenberg Thomas E., The Forms of Power, From Domination to Transformation. Whedon Chris, Liberal Nationalism. Orden Blair, Republicanism, Liberty and Commercial Society. Young I.M., Justice and the Politics of Difference.